No.
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 Nay.
I was actually can I just ask you a quick question? What do you
Sure.
define as feminism?
Can you guys hide that until you get it fixed? It's a good question. I mean, there's a couple different definitions. So there's my charitable definition.
Well, hang on. We would ask you first, what would you define as a feminist?
Well, feminism is about wanting equal rights between men and women, right?
Okay.
So yes.
Is that how you would define it?
Yes.
Equality between men and women. So I suppose I'll give you, here, Austin, can you just take over? I'm just, okay. Charitable definition. Feminism is woman's advocacy. That's the most charitable definition I would ever give it. It's never been about equality. This is just factually true. Feminists don't care about equality. There's nothing wrong with women's advocacy, but to parade feminism as an equality movement is laughable. Nothing wrong with women's advocacy, but let's not pretend like feminists really give a fuck about equality. The actual definition of it is, I think it's woman's advocacy plus a man-hating ideology. That's what I think it is.
I see. Okay. So what do you mean by charitable definition?
So charitable would be the nicest.
I see. Okay. But wouldn't you say that that's a definition when it comes to radical feminists instead of like genuine feminism?
Well, I can ask you a couple questions to clarify this. Is patriarchy theory a core tenet of feminism, even normal mainstream feminism?
Can you ask one more time?
Is patriarchy a core tenet of mainstream feminism?
No.
That there is a patriarchy?
Yes.
Oh,
I think
okay.
I think you need to
Okay.
explain what's the core 10 or whatever you said. I think that's what you,
Like
Core tenet.
like
a-
hoarding
tenet.
in
It's a
feminism?
core belief
Okay,
of
core.
the ideology.
Okay, that's what I
Okay,
don't think she
see.
understood that.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. And this ideology teaches primarily women what?
That misogyny is ingrained within society, I guess.
Okay. Now let me ask you a couple questions. Do you think that the patriarchy has to do with an oppressor-oppressed narrative? So women are oppressed, correct?
I don't agree with that, though. It's just
You don't think, okay, do you think women were oppressed historically then?
yes.
But they're no longer oppressed in any capacity to this day?
In my opinion, no, not in this country.
Okay, that's fair. But you do think they were oppressed historically?
Yes.
Okay. And so, but you believe there's a patriarchy. Does this patriarchy have a tendency to oppress women?
So for me, I personally believe, and according to like the definition of feminism, that it's just about advocating for women's rights when there is some sort of inequality. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I do feel like you're almost...
But it's not an equality movement. You said it's advocating for women's rights.
But I just feel like what you're defining is only going after, I guess, the like stereotypical feminist who's very radical in their beliefs.
Well, is the stereotype wrong?
I mean,
Let me ask you a question. So every single university in this country, college, whatever, every single one has a feminist study, gender study, women's studies program, right? If you take Feminism 101 or whatever, the introduction to feminism, the lecture, whatever it is, do they teach you about patriarchy and female oppression?
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. And so it sets up an oppressor-oppressed narrative, and it pits the sexes against each other. If you teach swaths of young women that men are to blame for everything, it's men who are the oppressors and women are the oppressed, and women collectively are oppressed and men collectively are the oppressors, Are women supposed to feel positive or think positive things towards the oppressor class?
No. I don't think that's the objective, though, with true
But
feminism.
if you take any feminism class, the words patriarchy, oppression, oppressed, oppressor are going to come up. Under feminism, who is the oppressor? Men? Who's the oppressor? Is it men?
Well, according to them, I guess.
According to feminist theory, men are the oppressors, right? And who are the oppressed?
Women.
Do the oppressed get to have contempt for the oppressor?
Yes.
Do the oppressed have to overcome the oppressor? Do the oppressed have to defeat or in some way
I think defeat's fine.
defeat or tear down the oppressor? So this is a narrative that is taught to vast swaths of women, and it teaches women to hate men and have contempt for men and view men as having historically put on some sort of injury onto women. Women have a historical and even current day grievance, a significant grievance, women as a group towards men as a group. So I think that this would teach women to either have bias on the low end, bias or bigotry against men, or on perhaps the more extreme end, have contempt or hatred towards men. So that's why that's my sense of what feminism is.
Okay, I didn't know what we were agreeing to was your definition of feminism rather than...
But I just walked you through it, and you
Yes.
you agreed with me on all these things when it comes to the oppressor-oppressed dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So,
Well, and I think it's fine to say, like if you have a different definition or what you think feminism is, as opposed to what Brian just said, I think it's fine for you to tell us what that is.
I mean, for me, I do believe feminism is about advocating, like you mentioned, more for any inequalities, or even like advocating for women because of just almost like lifting up the women empowerment movement in a sense. And that doesn't have to come at the demise of men, but that is only when it happens in a more radical, I guess, violent way that maybe stereotypical feminists do.
It literally sounded to me like you just kind of agreed with Brian's definition of feminism, to be honest with you. The only kind of caveat that you threw in there was they don't have to be violent to overthrow the oppressor, but Brian never included that in his definition. He just said if there's an oppressed group, it is the oppressed group's duty to throw off the oppressor. It sounds like you kind of agree with that, right?
I just don't think there's anything wrong with, I guess, I almost feel like the feminism is when you acknowledge your role as a woman, a female within society, and being able to uplift other women in that manner, and I guess advocating for any inequalities if they find some. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
well, hold on.
Okay. Well, I think that's fair too. I just asked this one question. You think that female advocacy is perfectly acceptable, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So when men advocate for men, is that also perfectly acceptable?
I believe
Warlord
that's
69
very,
you donated $69. Feminism, I follow other women because they give me power from the oppression that doesn't exist, but because the media keeps telling me that it does exist, I'm gonna keep yelling about it.
Warlord, thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's very kind of you to send in the dollars there. Yeah, so just kind of quickly back to this. You think it's okay for men to advocate for men too, right?
1,000%.
So what happens when women advocate for women and men advocate for men, and we come to different conclusions as to how each should be treated?
So I'm almost thinking of the example of when men are able to recognize that society makes it so that they're supposed to repress their emotions, and that's why there's such a high unalive rate with men, and when men choose to speak out about that.
Oh, well, hang on. I want to correct something very quickly. Actually, men and women attempt to unalive themselves at about the same rates. It's just that men are way better at it. So they take the final solution. They grab the pistol, and women take pills and shit like that. But men just happen to be far better at doing so. If a woman says, "I want to be unalive today," and a man says, "I want to be unalive today," they do try to off themselves at the same rates, roughly the same. I mean, it's very close. It's just that men get the job done.
Right, but that doesn't really have anything to do with what I was going to say, is that when men are able to recognize the reality of between man to man, what they go through in their day-to-day life because of them being a man, I don't think there's anything wrong with advocating for one another.
Yeah, sure, but what if they say, okay, well, the reason we're going through all this is because those women fucking suck.
But that's why I also said that I don't believe that it's all people who are that radical when it comes to feminism, and I wouldn't agree with that.
But it's mainstream feminism. It's mainstream feminism. You go to any university, you take an intro to feminism class, they're going to teach you patriarchy theory. They're going to teach you the oppressor-oppressed dynamic between men and women, and they're going to say men are the oppressors and women are the oppressed.
There are still feminists who are actually, thinking how she defined it. I understand
Which is what?
That, just advocating for women's rights. In the same way, men should probably do that too. But what
Advocate for women's rights?
For men's rights.
Oh, okay, sure.
But the thing is that I think we both agree that there's fundamental issues in the mainstream feminism, like you mentioned. And there are some things that need to be changed because the matter of fact is right now it's not a patriarchy anymore. So there is some things that need to be changed. And I also almost think that feminists need to heal from the fact that we got out of this hole, now it's more equal. So
it's the most equal it's ever been.
Exactly. So there are some issues, but as an idea of equality, that's what you meant. That's why
Yeah.
support.
Well, I mean, my pushback there, just one little nitpick, is when feminists say feminism's about equality, and I say the most charitable definition is it's a women's advocacy movement. If there's a form of equality where women don't stand to benefit or it comes to women's detriment, but it's equality, feminists won't fight for it. Women won't fight for it. So feminism's not an equality movement. And this is just, the perfect example is just forced military conscription. We've had over 100 years of women being able to vote. For men to be able to vote, we have to be subject to forced military conscription. We got to register with the selective service. 100 years, feminists are not saying equalize forced military conscription. And in that time period, we've had numerous World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War. Men were drafted in these wars. Men would still be alive had they not been drafted. There are men who are still alive who were drafted, who have terrible injuries. I'm talking specifically about Vietnam, who are still alive, who've got PTSD, all this kind of stuff. And so I don't really think feminists are striving for equality. You're striving to secure female benefits. And if that means fighting for equality and that gets women benefits, they'll do it. But you'll never fight for equality if it could conceivably come to the detriment of women. And I don't think you can actually make an argument against that because the glaring example is forced military conscription. I think being drafted for anybody is a detriment to one's life. Mm-hmm. If you're drafted into the military, I think it's hard to argue that it's not a detriment. It would be a detriment to women if they were subject to military conscription and all the negative ramifications that come with either being drafted or if you don't register for the selective service, there's various issues that can arise there. But where are the feminists in the streets I want to be drafted? They ain't fine for it. It's not an equality movement.
Okay, so then when you said the charitable definition was women's advocacy, then putting that aside, like the equality or fighting for equality, wouldn't that just be like more of a movement to empower other women? So I don't.
Sure.
So maybe then.
Sure, but you can't parade it around as an equality movement when it's not.
Okay, then I mean I can agree with that.
Okay, sure.
So.
Well, I have a very quick question I'd like to ask everybody on the panel. Get everybody to participate on why we're on the topic of feminism.
Wait, Andrew, I apologize.
Yeah.
She was in the middle of something. I do just want to give her an opportunity.
Oh, yeah,
just to
sorry.
finish it. But then we'll ask her question. Go ahead.
Sorry,
If you forgot, you were in the middle of something. If you forgot,
I kind of just forgot.
It's okay. All right, go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump in there. I thought the exchange was done. So just very briefly, I would like to kind of tell you guys a few things. You are aware that women couldn't have credit cards until very recently, and they couldn't have bank accounts, right? This is fairly recent. Did you guys know that? Women couldn't have those things.
Do you mind telling me how recent?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm going to pull up the exact date, just so you have it. So I think that this was, let's see, 1974, looks like. So 1974, before they could have credit cards, right? That seems pretty unfair, right? They couldn't even have them, right? Or bank accounts, things like that. That seems pretty. Do you guys agree that that's fundamentally unfair?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to ask you this question, though. In the 1950s, when women couldn't have these things, can I get a show of hands of the women here who think that relationships right now in the year 2024 are more stable and better than they were in the 1950s, just by a show of hands? Can I get a show of hands of the women who think that the relationships in the year 2024 are more unstable than they were in the 1950s?
Unstable?
Unstable.
Yeah, it's more. I'm pretty sure they are.
So just nobody else has an opinion? Do you think that the relationships in the year 1950 were more or less stable than they are now? By a show of hands.
Well, you said more.
Yeah. Do you think that they were more stable in the 1950s?
Yes.
Yes. Than they are right now? And do you think in the year 2024 that relationships are less stable than they were in the 1950s?
Yes.
So can any of you explain to me why it would be in a million years that even though women were suffering under this type of horrific oppression, that relationships were better under that oppression than they are right now when women are the most liberated they've ever been?
Well, stability can mean a lot of things. It can be stably bad. Because they did.
Do you think that they were stably bad, or do you think that the relationships were better? When you talk to your grandparents, do they tell you how horrible things were, or do they tell you things were better? You tell me.
Honestly, I had a lot of mixed opinions on that.
Yeah. They mostly say it was better, right? They mostly say it was better. Most of the time you talk to people who are older than you, especially significantly older than you. I can tell you right now the 90s were better. The 90s were better than the year 2024. I promise you they were better. In every conceivable way I can think of, it's not nostalgia, they were better.
But I think that has to do something with also, like I mentioned before, with social media and people feeling like they have to put up a face and all that stuff. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, it's not just one thing.
Well, wait a second. That's really weird because the internet is a recent invention. This is not an old invention. Don't you think people in the 90s, so let me ask you this. The year is 1980. There is no internet. Mm-hmm. There's no internet in the year 1980. Do you think relationships were better or worse?
Better.
Better. They're better, right?
Well, they were more
so
stable,
so now moving forward, right? You hit the internet age. You think that the internet age is what destroyed everything?
I think so. I don't think it's the only reason, but there's a big influence in that. 100%. Yeah.
What is it?
Like I said.
What is the thing about social media that destroyed everything between men and women?
Because people it's
E-boys probably did it. Probably E-boys.
People try to portray themselves as someone they're not in social media. Everyone's are constantly trying to one up each other. There's no authentic
Twerking.
connections anymore.
Definitely twerking did it.
Dating apps are way more superficially based. There's a lot of reasons.
Can I have one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's the number one reason that you think things were better back then?
I also
K-pop. Sorry.
And by the way, the reason I brought this example up is because in the year 1980, women had those equalities, right? They had those equalities, and yet you still say that the relationships were better, even then. So are we pinpointing this on the internet? And what is the thing about the internet that has messed relationships up?
There's more easy access to more people because of the internet, so therefore you're looking at more people than they did back then, where back then they actually believed in true love, I guess. And now it's kind of way more accessible, and so therefore that traditional marriage or traditional kind of love is dying out.
Yeah, people see that they have more options now. Even if that's not the case. They're like, oh, there's this guy or this girl, and there's this, yeah.
Okay, so you think that the entirety of relationship dynamics have been destroyed, not because of the feminist move for women to become empowered snobs, but rather because women have more choices in men, and so what? They're going for a select group of men,
I
maybe?
think men also have those choices as well, and maybe I can consider
No, men don't have those choices.
it's still more easily accessible for men with the
No,
internet.
it's not more easily accessible for men. It was way more easy. So here, I can demonstrate this for you. If you were localized and there was only 50 women who were in your community versus 50 men, right? Wouldn't the women be far more accessible to the men and the women to the men? Because these are your only choices, right? Right? Well, now it's a buffet. But let me ask you a question. Do you think on a dating app that a guy who's as attractive as you are just for a male as opposed to a female, do you think that you get more people DMing you or he gets more people DMing him?
Most likely me.
Most likely you.
Wait, do you have a
So
brother?
that means that from the sexual selection perspective, you have way more options than he does, right?
Wait, really quick. Do you have a brother?
I do.
How old is he?
He is 18.
18. Okay, still
Actually,
big. Oh, 19. And you're 22, right? Who's crushing? Like, who could crush it more? You know?
Crush it?
Who could crush it more? Like, if you guys had to do like a competition, just to fuck or whatever, like, who could just crush it?
I don't like those two words in the same sentence, but I would say I guess me.
Yeah. Like you would, but it wouldn't. It's not even a competition, right? Like you would just fuck them up.
Yeah, and I can't not acknowledge the fact that like it's true that when you see like a woman's like dating profile versus a man's, and they could be equally attractive, it's always the women that get more matches, and I'm not going to deny that. But I do feel that because of the internet, it does still make it more easily accessible to both man and woman.
There's a lot of men who prefer to not commit to a lot of women anymore. Like that's pretty common in this day and age.
Maybe the top tier guys, maybe.
I would say most. At least our age. Yeah.
Yeah, but those men, I mean, most men aren't willing to commit to a woman?
I feel like a lot nowadays more.
What percentage of men are you attracted to?
I don't have a percentage. I think my type is weird, but yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
But also like
Because I feel like most men are invisible to y'all. Like most men, you wouldn't even consider. Whereas like most men find most women attractive. Most women definitely do not find most men attractive.
Yeah.
Huge differential.
Tom_Stone donated
Thank you,
$100.
thank you, Tom. Appreciate it, man.
Marine Corvette here. Name one right you don't have that men do at this point in time. Name one.
Anybody on this? Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it, man. Anybody? Going once, going twice?
Yeah, well, what I was getting at, we were right there, is the idea that if the internet has messed things up and sexual selection for women is very high, then how come men are having such a hard time finding women?
I feel like nowadays.
Drake. Sorry.
I feel like nowadays women are. I can't deny the fact that women now have this mindset, like as a collective. I'm not saying I relate to it, but it's the truth where women are like, oh, independent and like I don't need a man kind of energy. So therefore, men also have like proven, or not proven, but it's like I guess in a study where men have said that they're more intimidated by women nowadays because of the rejection that they'll face or this fear of being seen as like a creep or something.
Yeah, you have 100 DMs for every one DM a man might get, possibly 1,000, possibly 500, right? But it's going to be significantly more, right? Men are going to DM you significantly more than you DM them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that it's possible that most of the women are responding to the same type of man?
Same type of man.
Well,
Yeah.
everyone, well,
So if you have this giant pool of men to select from now that you didn't have before, and now you can select for the top tier ones that you want. They're over 6'2", perhaps. They make a lot of money. They're very good looking. Do you think that women would compete over those men?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too. And do you think if they were localized and they only knew about the men in their local area pre-internet, they wouldn't have to compete, right?
Andrew, wouldn't there still be competition?
Yeah, but it would be localized competition.
Right, yeah.
Localized meaning it's not a buffet, right? Right now you have a buffet. If you get 100 DMs, you can go through 100 guys and pick and choose, right? Men can't do that, correct?
Correct.
So doesn't it stand to reason that if men are having trouble finding women, that women are going for this kind of top tier of men? They're all going for kind of those same guys.
I still will stand by like the fact that I do believe both men and women have more access to dating and having more of a variety when it comes to dating due to the internet. And I'm not saying one is like getting it more.
No, they don't have the same access.
I'm not saying
That's
they have the
insane.
same access, but I'm saying we both have grown with variety due to the internet at different
Okay.
scales.
Okay, but again, I'm gonna ask you this again. If men get no DMs from women and you get 500 DMs from men, who has the selection buffet? Men or women?
Women.
Women. And does it stand to reason that they would go for the best looking and the ones who were the best looking and made the most amount of money?
Sure.
Yeah, and it would stand to reason that men would go for like the hottest women, right?
Right.
Okay, so then if that is the case, couldn't it be possible that women are just really all competing over a small select group of men?
Sure, yes.
Yeah, so this is called hypergamy.
But
And
wasn't
the idea here is that I agree with you that the internet is what destroyed dating. I just wanted to kind of walk you through how it did. Absent localization, right? Meaning we live in a farm town in the 1950s. There's only 30 women to choose from, right? I'm going to pick one of those women. And those women don't have access to men external, those same men in the farm town. So they're going to only have X amount to pick from. But what happens when we open up that global market? Well, now all women can compete for 10%, 5% of men, right?
Which that
And
was
that's
my argument.
that's exactly what's happening.
Yes.
How
that
many
was my
DMs
argument.
do you respond to?
Huh?
How many DMs do you respond to?
I don't check my DMs. I don't respond to DMs.
Wait, these girls got to answer the question too. How many? Because they're making faces.
you go first?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh. I'll expose myself.
Wait,
Whatever.
So, okay, how many DMs have you gotten in your whole life?
More than 100.
Thousands, maybe?
Thousands, yeah.
Wait, into the mic, you're way too far.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
more than thousands.
How many DMs have you sent out?
Less than 5.
Okay. How many DMs have you received?
Not that many. Also, I'm from, I'm older, so like
Yeah,
back in the days it was very different. But
Sure.
yeah,
You got
and now that I'm
postcard
older,
or
then
some shit.
it's not the same thing. It's not the
Okay,
same thing.
all right.
Okay, well, we'll get back to that. We're gonna get back to that though.
What? How many?
Oh, how many DMs have you gotten, Morgan?
I don't know.
Hundreds?
I don't count. Yeah, sure.
How many DMs have you sent?
0.
0. Okay. How many DMs have you received?
Dude, I don't even count because like I don't really care about it too much.
Well,
but
I mean, you don't need to give me a precise number,
yeah,
but
like
over 1,000,
probably like
10,000?
100, 200.
hundreds. How many DMs have you sent out?
Good question. Probably like around the tens.
Okay. And wait, was it like nobody dudes or was it clouded, like famous dudes? Oh, your friend just gave you away. So like musicians, right?
Wait, what?
Athletes?
No, wait. She didn't give me away because she doesn't even know who I like DM.
Okay.
But
Who are you
it's,
DMing though?
Probably like.
And do-
Well, actually, no. People that I would probably slide in DMs for would be like either like I'm interested in them, so people from school that I think are like kind
Sure.
of cute.
But have you ever slid into like a famous guy's DMs?
Yeah, like once.
Did he respond?
Hell not. No, actually, technically, I wasn't trying to slide. Like he was trying to ask for like ideas for his like video, and I was like, oh, you should like react to this, and that's it.
How many followers does he have?
Dude, I don't know. Like if I'm on my
What
phone.
is he, a musician?
Yeah, he's a
or
musician.
Rapper?
No.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's probably like 150K.
Oh, okay. All right. What about you? How many DMs have you received? Hundreds? Thousands?
Sure. I mean, I wouldn't say thousands because.
But hundreds.
Sure.
How many DMs have you sent?
Maybe like 20.
Famous guys?
Maybe like one. or
One
two.
famous guy? Okay. What about you?
I don't really use social media that much, but I mean, the answer is still the same. I'm sure I received more DMs than I
Sure.
sent.
Emma, what about you?
I don't receive very many, and
Okay.
I never send any.
Okay. All right. Anissa, what about you?
Wait. Hang on. Back up. You've been on this show before.
Hold on.
There's no
Just for the
way
sake
that
of
you
time.
walked off. Hang on. There's no way you walked off this show
No.
and did not receive DMs.
Andrew, I don't think her Instagram was even in the thing.
So, I know
All right,
this
here, let me just-
audience. They're gonna ruthlessly hunt down. If they're interested, they're gonna ruthlessly hunt them down and send them a DM.
All
Not
right,
a one. You didn't get a one DM.
Not
Yeah, come on.
All right.
What?
Here,
Seems honest.
go ahead, Anissa.
Not that many because I don't have my DMs on. I can't get requests.
Okay. All right. Back to you, Andrew. You had
Yeah,
you were
well, I
having
was,
the back
I
and
was
forth
just saying, if you're looking at that, if you understand that women are receiving, thousands or hundreds more DMs than men are, then this necessarily would show that you have a much wider kind of array of men to choose from than men have women, right?
But isn't 99% of those DMs just to hook up? So like, yeah, we might have
Sure.
a bigger
Yeah,
amount.
I
to
would think
choose
so.
from.
I think 99.9% of them could be for hooking up.
Yeah.
But it gives you still this huge option men don't have, right?
Right, but so yeah, women have more options to, perhaps hook up, but not necessarily to be in a committed relationship.
Well, okay, but let's back up. And let's see if this actually passes the test. So, do you think that a man who wants to hook up with you is more likely to be interested in a relationship with you than a man who didn't want to hook up with you? Like a man who's not sexually attracted to you?
No, I mean, both of them, of course, would want to hook up regardless of their...
No, well, hang on. But But a man who's sexually attracted to you is going to be more likely to be interested in you, right?
I don't think anyone who, I'm sure most of the DMs we get are like really, you know, oh, you're so hot, or something like that. I think people.
Yeah, they're sexually attracted to
Right.
you, so those men would be more likely to be interested in you for dating as well, right?
I don't think so, because I feel like if you start a conversation like this, you're kind of already setting your intentions clear.
What? Well, like what? What are they sending you? Like, hello, beautiful? Oh, man, that really sounds like that guy just really hates your guts. Like, what do you mean?
Not hates your guts, but in this day and age, most of the guys who DM, they don't want to pursue anything. They want to hook up. Yeah, maybe you'll change their mind. Maybe they end up liking your personality, but that's not their
Yeah,
first
right, but
time.
you have that option is the point. Men don't have that option. And so if women are all getting the same DMs from the same guys, let's say, why wouldn't they gravitate towards the best looking and the tallest and the most handsomest and all of that? Why wouldn't they gravitate towards those same men?
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yeah, so now you've run into the problem of hypergamy. And hypergamy is showing, okay, now the marketplace is completely open, but now those top tier men, all the women are pursuing them, and all of the other men, they're not getting pursued. And they're not pursuing because they can't compete with that higher echelon of men.
Yeah, I feel that's a
Why
phenomenon.
the reason the entirety of the dating market is screwed is because of this one principle of localization versus globalization when it comes to dating. Anyway, go ahead.
I just think that's a phenomenon that existed before too. It's just
Show me.
exponential
Where did
now.
it exist? Where did this phenomenon exist before the internet?
In the cities, like like that the hottest
How
men
could it have
are.
existed in the cities?
No, I mean like that's not just an internet thing that like women are the gatekeepers and they're going to be hit on more than like men are going to
Yeah,
be
but
hit on, and
that's
like
not-
I'm just saying
Yeah,
it's,
sure.
that
I agree
existed.
with you. The idea here is not that women are going to get hit on more than men. The idea here is that if you only have a localized pool of men to choose from,
Yeah.
you're going to pick one of that localized pool. What if, so like, let me give you an example, Rachel. So let's say there's 100 men that you can choose from. Would you rather have that or 20 million?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. But ultimately,
that's the point, right? It's
Yeah.
like once you have access to 20 million,
yeah.
right? Who's going to say I'd only rather have 100?
No, but
rather
ultimately,
than 20 million.
I get you. But ultimately, like you said, the hottest men or whatever are going to have their first pick too, right? So they're going to pick the hottest women or like whatever, right? So then women will have to go to the rest of the pool anyways at some point, right? Because you're not going to get...
After they've had sex with that higher tier man.
I guess.
And all of these different women have had sex with that higher tier man.
If that's
why
what-
men have body counts. Some men have body counts into the several hundreds to thousands, right? It's because many women are gravitating towards that same select group of men. So it's like, okay, that's great, but if you're holding out for that man, what happens to you? You're wasting years, right? And so that's why women get married later in life. I agree with you. They're settling for that next tier of man, but they were gravitating towards that higher tier, right?
Yeah, and I think the problem is like that's how women nowadays kind of value themselves.
Agreed.
And I think that's the deeper root problem, where like you think if you have sex with this dude that doesn't really give a fuck about you and it's not going to give you something stable long term, whatever, but then you had sex with the hot guy, but then like okay, and then you got the attention, anyways, my point is like the values, the core values are not at the right place.
Yeah, no,
these
I agree with
days.
that. The core values may not be there. All right. Prescriptively, that's true. But descriptively, I'm just talking about what is happening.
Yeah.
What is happening is that we've opened up the marketplace for dating. And you can date a guy right now in Ohio, right?
Yeah, through online.
And in the 1950s, how would you have communicated with a guy from Ohio? How would you have even met him or known how he existed?
Yeah, and also...
How would that have even been done? Would you have just done like long distance letter writing to each other after you happened to stumble into him in your local community? right?
Yeah.
It would not have been very easy, but right this second, if a guy from Ohio DMs you who's 6'2" and 6 figures, boy, it's really easy to communicate with him, isn't it?
But that's the thing. And before internet, like, people had to actually, like, you know, like, it takes way more guts to go to a person in person than to DM a little message online.
Oh yeah, it makes
So
it,
the
it makes it
commitment-
non-interpersonal. Yeah, I agree.
So the commitment's already way more when you're like, okay, you know, it's either you meet the person in a bar or, like, I mean, whatever, right? But in physical form, then you have, like, you know, you gotta get, like, either the girl or the guy. So that already creates, like, someone that value you way more than just DMing you because it's so easy.
Well, as somebody points out, they say, what about pen pals? Well, I think that pen pals existed, sure, but
Yeah.
you had to meet them, right? Like, you had to
Yeah.
still meet them locally somewhere.
But
you
it's-
don't have to meet people locally anymore.
Yeah.
You can go on a dating profile and you can post you. You can be like, here's my face, and here's my body, and I like hiking and walks on the beach and all that bullshit, right? That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
And then the guy from Ohio finds you, right?
Yeah.
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 And so this is the, if you want to know what destroyed all of dating, it's not really more complex than that. I think that women's liberation and all of this type of thing leads to the idea of basically reducing the moral grounding to the point where women will engage in hypergamy. But I think the internet's what destroyed dating.
Yeah.